This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio.
In a world where jobs are how most people make money, one man, one desire, one challenge dares to break the mold. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where we don't work for money. Money works for us. Coming soon. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manacero.
Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network. I'm your host, Bill Manacero, and this is a show where 50-plussers and anyone else who wants to join us get solid, no sales pitch real estate investing advice to help generate real cash flow. This podcast airs twice weekly on Mondays and Fridays, and if you aren't already a subscriber, go to iTunes, type in Old Dog, spelled D-A-W-G, find our podcast, and subscribe. Well, today's guest is a returning guest, a favorite of mine, Al Williamson. And Al's the guy that kind of taught me all about Airbnb. So we're going to talk a little bit about Airbnb and probably a lot of different things. But first, let me just give you a little introduction if you've never met Al. By the way, he was on episode 109, if you want to check that out, June 12th, 2017, called Creative Strategies to Increase Your Rental Property Net Income. Well, Al, he took 2 engineering degrees, repairing of the San Francisco Bay Bridge, and 22 years of landlord experience for Al Williamson to become the world's first landlord scientist. Okay, now that's quite a title. I love that. And now he uses those amazing engineering skills to help investors make more money. Al is best known for publicly optimizing his 8-unit apartment building to the point where it replaced his salary and gave him financial freedom. Isn't that what we're all looking for, guys? In 2015, he wrote his second book, 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property. His first book was Building Wealth with Inner City Rentals, and realized short-term rentals improved a landlord's earning potential like nothing else. Al is known as the father of the extended stay Airbnb industry because he has taught over 700 people to optimize their net incomes by focusing on stays longer than 30 days. Al now spends his days growing easy corporate housing in Sacramento, California, where he lives with his wife and 2 daughters. Definitely want to hear about that, Al. Well, Al, welcome. I get to welcome the first landlord scientist, Al Williamson, to the Old Dogs REI Network.
Well, thank you very much. It's a wonderful place you have here. You've been sprucing it up. It looks great.
Yeah, we've been adding all kinds of splashes of, color and technology and all that stuff.
Hey, thanks for that introduction. I love having you introduce me with that great voice of yours.
Well, you got a great background. It's fun. Al, you sound like you're doing a bunch of different stuff since the last time we had you on. It was way too long, man. I just, we're a guy over a year and a half, a while back. And
yeah.
So just tell me what you've been up to. I'm dying to hear.
Well, did I retire when we were talking? Was I still doing bridge engineering?
You were still working.
Okay,
Still working a little.
Oh, we stopped that stuff. We stopped that working stuff.
Oh man, I
That
hope
was
the
cramping. That was
bri-
cramping my style altogether.
hope the bridges aren't going to fall down over the San Francisco area.
Hey, I'm replaceable doing that. I figured I would be the best at the world at being a landlord scientist, so that's where I should focus. Especially when I hit 50, that was like you got to do it or shut up at that point, right?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, you got to get a theme song with this landlord scientist thing. You know, like Al, 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 Al,
I'll,
Al,
I'll
Al,
work on that.
landlord scientist guy. You know, something like that. Okay, never mind.
I'll work on that.
Yeah, really. Definitely got to work on that. Okay. But yeah, here you are. You're like totally, free guy. You can just
Yeah,
work and write books, have
right.
fun, enjoy your family.
You know what I do? I spend my time as a classroom dad for my 8-year-old in her second grade class. I play foursquare, I block shots of the sixth graders. I race kids on the playground, and I help them across the crosswalk. That's what I do.
That sounds like
It
fun.
is.
Gee, oh
It
man.
is. I get to rub it in the face of everybody. I just love it.
Oh man, you must be getting pretty good at Foursquare, I would imagine, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And the secret is have good grip on your shoes so you can don't slip.
That's true. That's true. That's why you never play Foursquare in the rain. You know,
That's right.
I learned the hard way on that one. But okay. Well, how fun, man! That's so great. Gosh, that's I love when I send somebody an email and they says I'll get back to it. I got to go to the gym first. I'm going. Oh yeah, tough life.
Yes.
Tough life. 3 hours
Yeah.
in the gym later, you're coming back looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. It's all that the person you want to become, you could take some work.
Yeah.
Take some work to become the person I'm trying to become. So that landlord scientist thing.
Oh yeah, well, that's a big title to live up to too.
It
So
is. It
man, oh
is.
man,
I'm gonna make it fun. It's gonna be I have to stay on top of technology to see how that will can grow your income bill. Because I know if there's a piece of technology that you could pay X for, and that it'll give you 30X, 10X or 2X by the end of the year, you would want to know about it, right?
yeah.
So I'm out there searching for it.
Well, that's why, I like being around people like you because you engineering types, you guys, you can just break everything down into metrics.
Hmm.
And, I'm having trouble, just writing my name sometimes, but, no, I mean, it's great that, I just am blown away by the number of engineers that are investing in real estate and just crushing it. And so that's why it's exciting to talk to you and kind of hear what the latest thing is.
Yeah.
Sounds like I want to just go ahead. Let me, if you can catch me up here on.
Okay.
It's been a while since we talked.
Well, there's as Airbnb becomes more popular, it has about 2.3 million rooms under management per night, and the Marriott only
Wow.
has is still 1.3 million. So is Airbnb is now twice as large as the Marriott.
Man, that's just the Marriott. So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, seriously.
yeah,
But gosh,
it's
that's
larger than all
amazing.
of them combined.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's not stopping either. And we see more people jumping in. For example, I have one of my students, or I call them my peeps. All my students. One of my peeps. It was in Atlanta. He was hoping to rake it in during the Super Bowl, and I checked in with him. I said, "How did you do?" And he said, "I didn't do that great because so many people jumped on the week before and put their places up for Airbnb and drove the price down." Because literally anyone can jump in a very low barrier to entry because it's so well designed and it's so simple to do now.
Right, right. That's a real good point. That happens to me out in Indianapolis when they have the Indy 500 out there too.
Hmm.
You got to make sure you get those places booked way in advance where people think there's not going to be anything there, right?
Right, right.
And unfortunately, those that are smart enough to wait, they end up getting the great deals.
Get that deal. So that makes a lot of pressure where we see a kind of a race to the bottom, and that will continue as it becomes more mainstream and normal.
Hmm.
The Airbnb is encouraging hosts to lower their prices all the time, and That's the name of the game, especially as they go public. They're interested in getting a big user base because that's where their money comes from, is the guest. And people like you and me, Bill, we're essentially vendors to Airbnb, and being treated more and more so like vendors. So the marketplace is shifting, and that's what I wanted to share with your audience today about how are we going to surf this marketplace that's shifting.
Yeah, well, that's a great topic and focus for this show. Is I think there are a lot of people that are getting into it in many different levels, and I think the positioning that you introduced to me the first time is doing the 30-day rentals.
Right.
One, it works really well for me, managing apartments, because I'd have to have somebody there pretty much full time, and I'm out of state, so I'd have to have somebody there all the time that could, do those rapid turnovers. And
Right.
and the more units you have, the more activity there is in that regard. But we have sort of a lower end. We're a C building, so we're not competing with the guys that are, that are looking at $200-$300 nights. I mean, it's real easy for us to be the cheapest rental in town, and still make 3 times what we would, on the just the conventional renting side. So we're positioned pretty well, but we still are getting underbid at some time periods too.
Right. You're going to be underbid. Can we do a little bit of science? Can we do a little bit of landlord science?
Let's do it. We should have the music. Al, 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 Al. Okay, go ahead.
So if you think of these stays like on the x-axis between these one night stays, and then on the right side of the axis will be 1 year stay. Okay, you're going to see, Craigslist is over there in the 1 year stay. People can just simply buy furniture and stay if they're going to stay over a year. And do that. And then you see this one night stay that is getting saturated too. But there's another axis, the y-axis, going vertical. At the high end, is luxury, and the low end is economy or cheap stays. So you got this whole spectrum where you can position yourself. And most people are on the right side, on the left side, on the one night stays and 1 month, between 1 month stay, and they're all up and down that spectrum of luxury down to cheapness. But they stay all over. It's all piled up over there, and then it's all piled up over 1 year and longer. That's super saturated over there, and that's leaving this 2-3 months to 9 months stay, and the full spectrum of luxury down to cheapness wide open. So all you have to do is pick which band you're going to be in. You're in the affordable, C class, and you can see who, you're not maybe Super 8 quality version of that, but extended stay version of the Super 8, and then you can market yourself accordingly to that. And people who have more luxurious places, they can go up that spectrum and just kind of stake out where you're going to be and where you're going to focus, because that's really, really important to know how to separate yourself. I like the saying by the guy who wrote Art of War. I think is Sun Tzu,
Right.
Sun Tao. He said, if you want to be victorious in battle, guarantee that I'm going to urbanize it. Guarantee that you're successful in battle. You only attack the areas that are undefended. So that's it. There's so many places, and so much part of the market that's undefended. You can just simply stake yourself out there and clean it up.
So maybe clarify that a little bit. What are those markets that you say right now are the undefendable areas?
Well, between these people, being really out there in the 2 and 3 months where you're focused on people who want to stay there, because you can't stay at the Ritz-Carlton for 3 months. You're not going to do that.
Right.
You're not going to stay at Motel 6 for 3 months.
Right.
So, if that's your economics level, where are you going to go for 3 months? If you have if you're a project manager overseeing the construction of a Target store, and you need to be there for 3 months as you tilt the building up. Where are you going to stay?
Great point. Great point. So that's a market niche that you're seeing. So like on the you said the high end and the low end, right?
Yeah. So you segment yourself on the level of luxury you're going to offer in the extended stay bracket. That's where there's very little competition there.
Okay, so like okay, so in direct competition, say with an extended stay,
Or
which
even
is kind
Airbnb
of
people. Airbnb people aren't even thinking about that.
right, right. That's great idea. Great idea. Do you see as the economy is, we haven't really hit, I think, the real bottom here. I mean, we're seeing already, especially in California, we're seeing prices go down. We see a strong seller market.
Yeah.
In other parts of the country, you're experiencing that as well. When it really hits, where do you think Airbnb is going to be at?
Let's talk about short-term rentals because Airbnb is just the one marketing of short-term rentals. So
Okay, yeah, good point.
all of short-term rentals, I got my categories for short-term rentals are, of course, vacation travel, and then you got medical travel, which you know about, and you got student housing, you got military housing, corporate housing, insurance. People get displaced by insurance; they need temporary furnished housing, and also just regular temp housing, which is people, as old dogs who sell our houses and are downsizing, we need a place to stay while we're buying another house. And then you pointed out, you gave me a brand new category, Bill. You said I also need to add special needs housing on this also.
Right.
So that puts us up as 7 categories. And out of those 7 categories, what would you say is the most vulnerable to a weakening economy?
Well, it's a test, huh?
It's probably most people say vacation.
Yeah, that's what I would think would go away.
Yeah.
If you've got that place that's the seaside resort type thing, yeah,
Well,
that'll be the first hit, I would think.
even if you're in a regular market, people are mostly thinking about tourists, people coming in for those type of enjoyments or those type of conferences or things like that. That is probably going to take the hit far more than people temporary housing or people getting for insurance or for military or for medical. Those are almost recession proof, would you say?
Yeah, I think so because as long as people are working now, again, if we see actually, employment get hit by this market, that may have an impact. Although I would think
Not
that
on
some,
medical.
yeah, that's true.
And
Not on medical.
not on military.
They don't stop. Yeah,
Or
they keep going.
insurance. Insurance keeps going.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good
So you
point.
got so let's talk. So there are some recession-proof categories, and then there's that whole spectrum, like I told you, we talked about. So we got this three-dimensional ways of positioning yourself. Don't get me excited here, Bill. I'm getting excited. All right.
That's great, Al.
That
Get
that
excited.
that you can you can pivot yourself into, and then you can bounce around from categories. You can do temp housing for a little bit when people get displaced, and then you can bounce around to student housing, and then you can bounce it over to medical housing. It's about how you write your sales copy and knowing how to market into those different buckets or those different bins. And then when you position yourself, you have those 3 categories or you have the whole spectrum of luxury. You could be the affordable housing for military families.
Right.
You know, you can really pinpoint it and really keep your units filled with people paying far more than market rent, even when the economy changes. That's what's exciting. And what I really get, and I'm really trying to drive home, is that you can't do that with an empty unit as a traditional landlord on a 1-year lease. Those guys, that's the most dangerous spot to be in.
Yeah, that's really good point. That's true because you're going to have people breaking lease and doing other things that are going to impact you.
You can kick me off the show now? You gonna be in the show?
Yeah, really. I'm booking a plane right now to Indianapolis here. No, but that's it's a really good point. I mean, there are one thing I kind of thought about too, and you could give me your feedback on this. Again, you're more the expert than I, but I wonder if some of the vacation rental stuff might actually do better in certain markets where you have the person who wants the vacation, but they can't do the Ritz anymore with the room service and so forth, but they still want to go somewhere. They get the 400 round trip Puerto Rico tickets, and they can't stay in an expensive hotel or condo or something, but they might be able to stay in your your Airbnb. I wonder if that's going to pick up some of those that were sort of looking for the top end vacation that might look at Airbnb as an alternative, at least so they can still do their vacation.
I think you're absolutely right, but that's a really competitive area.
Yeah, and it is. It is right now. It's just that's
Yeah, and it's going to grow in competition. But absolutely, that's where I would go. I'm always looking for, as I'm traveling around and either speaking or I guess I have kids, so I only vacation on cruises where I don't have to worry about them. But
you just kind of let
yeah,
them roam the ship.
Yeah.
Let's jump off the side, see you go swimming in the ocean.
So I'm always looking for deals in nice areas. Absolutely, and there's a lot to pick from.
Yeah,
and that's where people's attention is, and that's why I love not being in a crowded field.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
For most of us, even the new places you're going to purchase, or most people, the typical landlord can do these extended stays and make one, change the use of one of their properties and bring in the same net income as 3 or 4 other rentals.
Yeah, that's a real good point. Maybe you could zero in on some of those niche areas just for a moment here, just to, that you talked about, military and medical and so forth.
Let's talk about temp housing. There's not many. It's underappreciated.
Okay, good one.
When people for a number of reasons, for my temp housing unit, well, let me back up. I typically started off with small 1 bed, 1 baths units, which I figured they were similar to a hotel room. So I start off with that, kept it filled, but in the process of doing that, I realized that there are people who were asking me for larger places that they could bring with their dogs because they had just sold their home. And if you're ever waiting for your house to get built, it takes twice as long as you thought. So
right.
So you sell your house, you get into a temporary furnished place while your stuff is in storage, and it turns out you think it's a month, but it ends up being 3 months or 4 months because of different things happening. So, and especially a place that can take care of your dog or your pet, a fenced-in yard. And did you know, Bill, there's a lot more baby boomers these days? It's a very fast-growing population. Did you know that?
Yes, the wave is huge, and it's moving further and further down the the timeline here. And they're getting older and older,
and a lot of them want to sell at the top or sell it where in a seller's market. They're like, I could buy something. Well, especially here in California, especially people from the Bay Area, sell at $2 million, and they go buy a really nice $600,000 place in the foothills. And in between, they stay with me.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's just a grow. I mean, I can keep them. I can expand that particular market much more than I'm doing now. Just with a yard, with take care of their dog, a garage because they're used to that, and just basic furniture. That's really. That results in, in fact, I do an arbitrage. I rent the place. Let's do a couple numbers. I rent the place for $1,500, and
now this is a one bedroom, one bath.
This is a 3-bed, 2-bath.
Okay, 3-bed, 2-bath
with a yard, and a gardener, around $1,500, and I rent it out just a little bit over $3,000.
Wow!
People are happy to pay $100 a night. You can't get that at a hotel for 3 rooms. That's a deal for them. it's a deal. $100 a night, for a month is $3,000. And
Right.
and if I can take care of their dog and take care of all their kids and give them a place to cook and all that, they're happy to pay a little bit over 3,000 to me. So I walk away with $1,000 just for putting it together, a very basic place.
Okay, so you've sparked a few questions here because there's a lot in this. First, you talked about rental arbitrage, and
Right.
those listening, I think you explained it. It basically means you rent a house,
Right.
and then you open it up to for short-term rentals, right?
That's right.
But okay,
Extended stays.
yeah,
Yeah.
extended stay. So, the let's just look at that first part, and how difficult is it in today's market, to go to somebody that's renting a house out and say, look, I want to rent your place, but I also want to, basically I want to sublet it out to others.
Right. Right. Well, you need to write scripts and things. That's kind of what I teach people is, you need to position yourself as a corporate housing provider that's coming to this landlord and helping that landlord become more passive, because you're essentially a management company that is going to pay them to take care of their place and keep it in top condition. And they see the landlords see the value of that, and you make it click. You also have to tell them a little bit about who you're planning on bringing, so that they, like, if I tell you, Bill, I want to sublet your place, that's one thing. If I say, Bill, I'm working with people from Tesla, and I need your place for my corporate housing company. That's a completely different thing.
Oh yeah, that makes a big difference. Yeah, and I think that would be a lot in your positioning because people, yeah, you may have the landlord or the owner who will say, yeah, I'll rent it to you. You've got a good background, da da da. But I won't be checking out the backgrounds of these other people coming in.
That's
and
right.
you've got them coming in every month or every couple of months.
Right.
Yeah. How do you put them at ease?
If it's a real traditional landlord who wants the control, they're not a good fit for you. You need to find one who wants to be more passive.
Do you think there'll be more owners that would be, especially in a down economy, that would be more apt to?
Yes. Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely. Because they
so.
want to keep their place filled. They just want most landlords just want the monthly check, and they don't want their place to be an embarrassment or to get tore up.
Yeah.
And if you're providing corporate housing, then you need to keep the place in tip-top condition,
Yeah.
more than a regular tenant would.
Yes, that's true. And you're going to be cleaning it after each person and probably, touching up paint or whatever you got to do to keep it nice
That's it.
in the interim. Great positioning. Great positioning. Interesting. Wow.
So so in a contracting market, let's talk about how this is going to look when the market changes and contracts back down. It turns into a buyer's market.
Sure. Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm trying to save and build reserves and as much as I can in relationships. So when the market really changes, like if a company in my local Sacramento here or goes out of business and all those jobs go away, there's going to be some motivated landlords to sell, and there's going to be some fear in the market, and I might have cash reserves and I have relationships. I'm not going to miss this downturn. That's what you know by now, Bill. You probably know better than me that most of the wealth is made on the downstroke.
Right. No, it's true. You buy when everybody else is selling, you sell when everybody's buying, right?
That's right. So by doing rental arbitrage or even positioning yourself into short-term rentals and building up that cash reserves allows you to buy when people want or need to sell.
So that, just to reiterate that, I think that's great strategy. You could still be making, great money on short-term rentals without having to spend anything more than a monthly rent.
That's right.
As opposed to buying a property and going through all the extra closing costs and financing it and all this other stuff. You can save your cash or liquidity for when the market really gets down there and the deals are plenty to be had. But great strategy.
Yeah, so that's the strategy is even if you're a landlord, I'm an owner and I believe in owning, but you want to, but I don't want that to stop me from making extra cash. So at the top of the market, you definitely want to do rental arbitrage. You want to, like Rockefeller said, you want to, he said to own nothing but to control everything. You want to control more of the property and make the margin off of them, make a profit off of the property you control. And then when the market goes down, you want to be Warren Buffett and you want to be greedy when everyone's fearful.
That's very fascinating, man. One thing you talked about too, and I don't mean to take a step back, but again, I want to explore each very nuance here. You talked about, let's say, for example, positioning it as a what was the term you used? Temp housing unit.
Yeah, we were just talking about temporary housing for transitioning people.
Now, how do you market that? I mean, is it all in your Airbnb and VRBO descriptions, or
yeah, yeah. The one I'm filling now, coming this Friday, I marketed it on Craigslist, and my title was, temp housing for a traveling group, and I got it filled by some 3 lottery machine technicians and two dogs who are going to be here for 3 months updating lottery machines.
And that was from a Craigslist ad?
Yeah, but I spoke right to them.
Yeah, and you market it as a group. So you're basically renting by person or by bed?
No, I'm renting to these guys are all coworkers.
Okay.
And I'm always talking about, for this one, I'm talking about traveling groups, and I'm not talking about family.
Right.
And all through my ad, I'm talking about, your business travel and the amount of workspace and office space that you have and the garage for your equipment and things like that. I'm talking about that throughout my listing.
God,
So
great.
you know the power of sales copy, right, Bill?
Yeah, right.
So when you pick one of these categories, and you pick your economic area that you're gonna on that that graph I talked about with the length of stay and the amount of luxury, and then you pick between what these 7 categories now, thanks to you, of these different types of extended stays or different types of short-term rentals. You can really grab some great spots and speak directly to those people, So that's what's amazing. That's what's so exciting about this time where people are jumping on the Airbnb and doing vacation rentals. I praise them and encourage them, and while I just stay where I am, and my net income is better. And in fact, I'm gonna stray a little bit here. In fact, under the new tax law bill, they put short-term rentals on Schedule E. Just same as rents.
Gee,
Schedule E. But if you run it 30 days and less, you're definitely a business. You go on Schedule C.
Right.
So when you run all these things through, even if you have a bigger gross doing these 1-2 night stays on a beach, and then you run it all the way through your net income after taxes, insurance, your cleaning costs, and then onto the Schedule E or Schedule C, and then see what comes out. That's shakes out. That's the proof in the pudding right there. When it comes all the way out after taxes, how does it look?
That's great. What about what are some of the other hot niches that you've encountered that you think are worth looking at, especially in light of the economy?
Well, another really good one is medical, because we got healthcare is not going to go away. There's always going to be some type of there's more healthcare and more aging, baby boomers traveling around, and there's more requirements to have a certain amount of nurses per patient. So because of that, you got this traveling portable medical professionals moving all around. So that's exciting, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. And those people, they're going to have they typically have three different motives. And this is really important to think about. These three, I call them three bins. They're going to be motivated by savings, because either they might be paying out of their pocket for some things, or they're going to be motivated by value, because people may get a housing allowance and they have to submit their receipt. So they're going to be interested in getting the nicest place they can for a certain amount of money. So they're looking for value. And then there's going to be another one that gets profit, because they have a tax-free per diem. And their per diem might be for $100. And if they find a place for $50, then they can put the savings in their pocket.
Right, exactly, and that's what I encounter a lot of with the traveling nurses and the medical folks as well. Is that it's that per diem, when they can get an inexpensive place that has everything they want.
Yeah, that's their motive.
Exactly.
Now the international doctors and nurses, or doctors specifically, especially if they're government sponsored, they're looking for value because they cannot pocket the difference. So you go after those guys differently. And then, of course, some people traveling, especially if you go on the patient side, where they're maybe up for a transplant or something along those lines, and they're paying out of pocket, they're looking for savings. So inside that whole medical, there's lots of layers inside the medical travel. There's the patient and the provider. And then there's all the three motives on top of that. So it's really, again, it becomes a three-dimensional marketplace, or three-dimensional positioning for us landlords to figure out where we can be the best at.
Yeah, and there are the various myriad of variations in there. Like, for example, I get medical students. I get people doing their not like they do internships, but the residency.
Right.
So there's all these different variations in there too.
What's their motive? Yeah. What would be their motive in that bin? What are they looking for?
The students are looking for value.
Yeah. Well, they're paying out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
They're looking for savings.
Yeah. But the residency, might be their motivation too, because they've got these impending student loans hanging over their head.
That's right.
But nonetheless, they have a little bit more spendable cash than most of the students do. So,
right.
So they're probably looking at that per diem, or depending on what their situation is.
That's it. So you can see it. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of positioning places we can stake out, depending on what's in your area. If there's a teaching hospital in your area, you can do one thing. If there's a hospital that's good at transplants, then they're going to be looking for, it's kind of almost special needs. They're going to look for really clean ground floor, stainless steel places to stay that are close to the hospital. They have to be within 10, 15 minutes of the hospital. So there's all kinds of things to do, even if you don't have the greatest place. If you furnish it with the right stuff and you're near 15 minutes from the hospital, you could make at least 2-3 times what the landlord right next to you is making, with the same construction and everything. It's because you're operating differently. Right.
Good point. One of the challenges that I've encountered in the short-term housing area, especially when it comes to Airbnb, are the reviews.
Yeah.
You can, just go out of your way to give somebody a wonderful experience. But I recently had somebody who I thought they must have, clicked the wrong button. They thought they were clicking on the Ritz, when they just in my little, inner city sort of, housing here. Yeah, I mean, and I just did everything I could to try and please this person, but there was just nothing.
Yeah.
And so, I haven't seen the review yet. I don't even know if they've written one yet, but it was I'm really, I'm really nervous from, and sometimes when you get people like that, because you're going, doesn't matter what you did, they're going to find the stuff. They're going to say, yeah, the sugar didn't have a cap on it, and it was just atrocious. And, and so, I mean, what do you do? How do you contend with that when you're trying to grow that kind of business?
Well, there'll be two answers, at least two answers. There's one, you need to put the hat on that you are a general manager of a one house hotel, and at hotels there's always going to be a complaint. So there should be at least one in every 10 hotel guests is going to be high maintenance. So you got to just be willing to accept that. Just like a waiter can't get upset that the salt shaker's been moved. This comes with the business. So you got to be willing to do that and do the best you can. Do the best you can. If it and respond quickly. Respond to all the reviews. That's really important. That's because if someone's going to go through and look at your reviews, they just want to get in the habit of seeing you respond to it or address. If you address a negative comment, if you're addressing all the comments, for example, then when a negative comment comes out, it doesn't stand out,
As you being defensive, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. You just want to address the comment and move on, do the best you can. And again, that's part of the game.
Yeah. And with Airbnb, you do have that little window. What is it, like a 30-day window?
Yeah, it's a short window, but you got to. Yeah,
if you don't respond, yeah, forget it. You can't do anything about it.
Right.
VRBO, I think, is a little more open, but yeah, that's a real good point, right? And also responding to all the comments. That's great.
Yeah, if you respond to all the comments. Now, of course, if you're doing 1-2 night stays, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
But if you're doing these extended stays, it is manageable.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 3, 30-day minimum places, and it keeps us busy. We're rotating on a regular basis, and you're going in there also fixing things or replacing things here and there or whatever. It keeps us real busy. So yeah, I imagine
you really have grown. I didn't know you had 3 of them. This is great.
Yeah, we got 3 of them going, and they have definitely. I mean, just not disappointed. I think I went out and furnished these things at big lots. That was like, I mean, it was just the cheapest thing I could possibly find, and but to try and make it look nice and classy, and nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it literally paid for my investment within the first couple of months. It was boom, everything that I had bought to do it. Now it's just they're still higher than my my regular. The daily rate would be on my my regular lease term. Yeah, people. So it's been well worth it.
The just as a side note, the fact that you really paid attention to your startup costs is so important, because there's so many shows on. There's at least 2 or 3 shows on HGTV or Netflix that shows people doing a complete remodel and getting the nicest stuff, spending tens and $20,000 on making their place look great, and then the hosts always tell them about what their monthly income is going to be, but they never address the break-even time.
Right.
It may take 2-3 years before they break even.
No, it's true. And I've had co-hosts that have come in and, didn't really like my Walmart sheets and, said, no, we're going to get these, these sheets are like 10 times as much as my Walmart sheets. And, and it eat up any kind of profit you have, because sometimes there are times when, especially if it's a competitive season and
right.
You have to lower your rates or something.
Right.
It's easier for me to buy another set of sheets if these even wear down. Boom, it's cheap. They're quick replaced. Even a couch, at Big Lots or Walmart or wherever I got it,
Right.
it's cheap to replace. But, you get these designer furniture and sheets and so forth in there. It gets a little out of hand.
Well, they're great, but you got everything you got to do. You got to be running your break-even equations. You really don't know what you're doing if you're not looking in terms of break-even, because you're not making any money until you paid yourself back.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Well, Al, there's probably people listening here that would love to find out how to reach you and how to find out more, about you. I'm kind of living proof here that I think that that you've got a great training, you got great information there for anybody that wants to get started in this area, and I think it's very reasonably priced too. It's not like you have to, mortgage your house to get in Al's program. So,
Extend your credit line. Go call them right now. Extend your credit line.
Yeah, right. But how do people reach you? What's the best way for people to do that?
Oh, one of the best ways is just to shoot me an email at al@leadinglandlord.com, or you can just go to my blog, which is leadinglandlord.com, and see what I've been working on, and reach out to me there.
And you've got tons of stuff that's great stuff that's available on your site for free too, which is great. But
yeah, I'm always running experiments and
working
things out.
It's great. Well, Al, man, I would have loved to have you on a lot longer, but we're kind of running out of time here, and I can't thank you enough for coming on. This has been great. Been great touching base with you.
I'm so proud of you, Bill. I had no idea that you were just kicking butt like you are. So thank you. It's been fun to be with you.
Hey, and Al, next time we talk, I am going to have a theme song for you. Okay, so it's just too many syllables to really come up with a good one right now. So.
Okay.
But first landlord scientist, man, I'm honored to be able to spend this much time on the phone with the first landlord scientist. I don't even know. I'm kind of tongue tied. Kind of nervous,
Well, don't make me wait another year and a half to come back on.
No, I won't. You got so much stuff. Oh, wait a minute. You got to tell me what this easy corporate housing in Sacramento is.
Yeah, so easy corporate housing is all just arbitrages. We rent out people's cottages and houses and one-bedroom apartments around this one really nice park in Sacramento, and then we just do corporate housing. So all of our landlords are happy, and then our guests are happy, and we're happy. So that's what easy corporate housing is, just a rental arbitrage business that I run with myself and my partner is a young real estate lawyer. So that's what easy corporate housing is all about.
Does it have its own website?
It does. It's called Furnish Easy, but we use that website just to send links to people so they can see what the unit looks like, and we meet them on Facebook and Airbnb and all over the place.
It's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah,
I
just
really
arbitrage.
Like that. Yeah, really smart. Yeah, you're always blowing me away. I'll tell you, it's great. You're creative. You're smart. You got that engineering thing definitely going for you too. To make all the numbers work and make it a profitable and enjoyable.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, that you're doing. So, well, Al, thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute. We can't close out yet. You know the tradition.
I got to howl, don't I?
Yeah, you sure do. And you got a lot to howl about. So I'm expecting a good one, Al. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Here we go. Ow!
All right. Attaboy. I like that. Al, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I also just want to thank all our old dog listeners out there, too, for joining us. I know there's a lot of other things you'd be doing right now, but the fact that you've taken the time to join us means a lot, and we greatly appreciate it. Please note everything we talked about here, including links to Al and the things that he's doing, you can get at our website at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog, and just look for the show with Al Williamson. Well, that's the show for today. Remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Until next time, keep moving forward and may God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.